So this is the training for copywriting and content strategy from Perfect Search. What is SEO copywriting? SEO copywriting is the art of writing content that contains keywords that are researched. It helps online content ranking in search results, and it drives qualified traffic. So that means you are writing things for people who are looking for something specific, and you're tapped into that thing that is specific. Higher ranking in the SERP means more visibility, and more visibility means the potential of visitors clicking on your site who are there looking for the exact thing you're providing them. Quality content. How you write and what you write is critical. So Google has had several major algorithm updates, including Panda, Penguin, Hummingbird, Pigeon, and more. And so quality content is more than just great writing and well-researched keywords. It's making sure that what you're writing is in accordance to what the algorithm is currently prioritizing for sites that are ranking better. So Panda and Penguin, for example, detected and penalized pages with thin content, so not very much going on there, mostly keyword stuffed, but not necessarily giving great meaning. Hummingbird was contextualizing content. And generally speaking, with content, we don't want to assume that more is better. So more keywords doesn't mean that you are creating better content. In fact, usually that's something that might penalize your site. So we're looking for great content that is well-researched, well-written, and optimized. So again, we aren't keyword stuffing. So in this example over here, we have 5 keywords stuffed in here, or 5 iterations of keywords stuffed in here, but this doesn't necessarily make this content any better. If anything, writing something that's stuffed with keywords that's more difficult for your user to read is worser content. So taking a look at this next slide, we want to make sure we're using keywords correctly. So part of keyword stuffing isn't just making sure that the keyword appears a bunch of times or that we have a bunch of keywords stuffed in there, but we want to make sure that keyword is used in the correct context. So however those keywords appear in the SERP, in our content, we also want to make sure that it makes sense given what's going on. So it should flow smoothly in a sentence, almost as if the user can't even recognize that that keyword is strategically placed. But we know as content creators and copywriters that that is on purpose. Here's some questions to ask yourself when writing awesome content. And one thing we want to recommend is that you prep before you start writing. So you need to consider who your audience is. Who are you writing this for? 2, what do they get from reading this? You don't just want to write something where the user reads it and they're not sure exactly what they are supposed to gather having just read this text. What do you get from writing this as the writer? What's your goal? What's your strategy? Would I read this and would I recommend this? If the answer to 4 and 5 are no, or if you feel kind of lukewarm about it, then maybe you need to tweak your strategy to make sure you're writing content that doesn't just fulfill inserting keywords, but is interesting to read and something that your users are going to want to share and something that you are proud of and want to share too. SEO tips for stellar content. Again, 1, know your audience. You want to speak their language, appeal to their needs, and give them a solution. If your demographic is younger folks, you want to make sure you're speaking in a language that they find interesting, that they can identify with, and that they want to share. If your text is more academic, then you want to make sure that you're using academic language and that everything is resourced or researched using sources that are reputable in academia, that are peer researched, peer reviewed. We don't want to keyword stuff. We also want to make sure we're using long tail keywords because they get to a certain specificity that short tail don't always use. Or rather, a certain specificity that short tail keywords just can't ascertain. 3, formatting is key for readability. We'll get into this later, but subheadings, good fonts, bold text, italicizing, short paragraphs also. All of these are ways to make sure that your text is easy for users to read. It's good for them to get what they're looking for when they pop into your blog, and also for answer box opportunities. Keeping things short makes it a little easier for us to win those. 4, linking out, linking in, and giving credit. So this is a little bit of on-page SEO, but we want to have internal links. So let's say you're writing for a client. Internal links are links that link back to the website. Linking externally are links that go back out to other sources. So maybe people who have, who you're gathering information for. Some more tips for seller content. You want to remember that you have a call to action at the bottom, and we tend to do two. So a call to action that goes back to your client's services or back to your services, and then a call to action that links back to your previous piece of content, whether it's the most recent one or maybe you want to link to one that is from earlier on, whatever is the most relevant. We also want to craft magnetic headlines. You can try using numbers, use the second person, strong language. 7, we want to add pictures for more clicks. Don't forget to use alt tags, and that helps for a number of reasons. They're originally created to help vision impaired, but that also helps with your indexing on Google too. 8, make sure your content is unique. If there are a bunch of pieces of content that are answering the same questions, then find an innovative way to answer that question, but expand on that content. 9, always proofread. There are tools like Grammarly. Word document has a spell check, the same with Excel, so you want to consider using those tools too. 10, keep a file for inspiration. If you are regularly having fun and great ideas, then you want to jot those down, because if you're not using them now, you might be able to use them later. So you want to have those around somewhere. And 11, don't be too salesy. Sometimes that turns readers off. If they feel like they're not getting information, they're just being sold something. So try and keep it informational. And then if you got something to show them, then be strategic about where you place those things so that readers aren't turned off. Here's some common content mistakes. Not citing your sources. Users want to know where their information comes from to increase trustworthiness. 2, sending prospects mixed messages. You want to send something consistent that users can follow. Anything that's mixed is going to deter them from what they're reading and also negate your trustworthiness. 3, writing copy that leaves visitors wondering where they landed. Users need to know where they are at all times so they can better navigate where they're going after looking at your site. 4, not writing content that is truly unique. We don't want to plagiarize. Everything needs to be original and written. And then the voice should be unique too. So make sure you're writing something that matches with the client or matches who the host site is you're writing for. But make sure that it's unique. It should have an energy, a voice, a message, and it should be something that users haven't read for the umpteenth time. 5, content that is prescriptive. Give your readers enough information to come to their own conclusions or seek out more professional advice. A great example of this is if you're writing for a client that's maybe in the medical industry. If you're writing on a blog and you're ghostwriting maybe for a site, it's better to keep the content informational and guide them to places where they can seek out more information rather than you being prescriptive, because then that makes you liable for information you have given them, which you may or may not have the credentials to do that. So we want to make sure we're giving credence to those who do have those references and those credentials to be able to give prescriptive advice. Here are some common SEO copywriting tasks. Landing pages, procedural landing pages, service landing pages, category landing pages, international landing pages, blog posts, content hubs, and blog topic research. Let's talk about content hubs. Content hubs are the centralizing of content into a one-stop shop for something specific for website visitors. It ties together disparate content into a cohesive presentation with more context. Blog topic creation and tips. So blog topic creation, we can start with our keyword research. You can also start with people also ask, and these are good places to find out what people are looking for, what they're searching for when you throw in your keyword into Google or you throw it into your keyword researching tool. This is one great way to contextualize your keywords using people also ask. Helpful tools. You can use SEMrush for keyword research, Google AdWords Keyword Planner for keyword research too, and you can use Google Autofill and LSI Graph for keyword inspiration, and Grammarly is a great tool always to proofread your work. Of course, with tools like Grammarly and what you might find in a Word document, those grammar checking tools, there are some things that computers tend to miss. So we want to make sure that we are finally combing through everything and rereading sentences to make sure that catchable errors like your versus your are mitigated in your text. And that was copywriting and content strategy training.